It started with a text I wasn't supposed to see. One of those wrong number messages that makes your stomach drop the second you read it. Not because it's some grand confession, not yet, but because it feels too familiar. It buzzed in at 7:42 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I was already awake, lying in bed, watching the sunlight slip through the cracks in the blinds. My phone was plugged in on his side of the bed. Evan was in the shower, humming that dumb corporate jingle from one of his work ads. When the notification lit up his screen, I didn't check it at first. I never really did. We weren't that kind of couple. But something about the preview caught my eye. Still thinking about last night, you should have stayed the whole time. At first, I assumed it was a group chat thing. Evan worked in advertising, and his team was close. Too close sometimes. Drunk karaoke, team bonding weekends in Napa, endless Slack jokes. They even called one of the account managers his work wife, like it was cute. Her name was Jordan. I'd met her twice. She had hair like a shampoo commercial and those glasses that made her look both hot and harmless. I tapped the message. It wasn't a group chat. It was a single thread. Just her name. Jordan W. And that one text wasn't the only one. I shouldn't have read the rest. I know that. But the moment you see a crack in the wall, it's human nature to peek through. Here's what I saw. Friday, 11:14 p.m. Jordan, you sure you can't sneak out? Jordan, just for a drink? Or more? Friday, 11:58 p.m. Evan, babe, I really can't. She's still awake and it's been a week. Evan, rain check, Saturday, 2:04 a.m. Jordan, you missed all the fun. Jordan, I still smell like you. I stopped there. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even lock the phone and throw it at the wall, which I now regret. Instead, I got up, made coffee, poured it into his stupid world's okayest husband mug, sat at the table and waited. When Evan walked out, towel around his neck, hair damp, he smiled like nothing was wrong. Morning, babe, he said, kissing my head. You're up early. I nodded. Thought I'd make us breakfast. He froze. Wow. Thanks? It was such a normal moment that it made me sick. This was the man I built a life with. The man who left dirty socks everywhere and made fun of my murder podcasts, but still kissed me every night, even if we were arguing. Now I was looking at him like a stranger. But I didn't confront him. Not yet. I didn't want a scene or a lie I couldn't unhear. I wanted facts, evidence, something that couldn't be laughed off as a joke or harmless flirting. I texted my best friend, Nia. Me, how much do you know about Evan's work wife? She called me 2 seconds later. Okay, she said. No hello. What happened? I told her everything. The texts, the tone, the emoji. Nia didn't play games. She'd gone through her own hell with a cheating fiancé 2 years ago and came out steel-plated. Don't say a word, she advised. Let him think he's safe, then dig. So I did. That week, I became a spy. I logged into our shared Lyft account, checked Evan's rides from Friday night. Nothing out of the ordinary. But Saturday, he had a ride from downtown back home at 3:12 a.m. We live in the suburbs. If he was staying in, why was he 30 minutes away at 3 in the morning? The next breadcrumb was Instagram. Jordan's story from Saturday night was a boomerang of her clinking glasses with someone whose wristwatch looked very familiar. She tagged the location. A rooftop bar in Oakland. The same zip code as the 3:12 a.m. Lyft. Still, I told myself it wasn't proof. Maybe they met up as friends. Maybe he dropped by after I fell asleep. Then came the voicemail. I didn't even mean to find it. I was cleaning out my own inbox on Sunday evening when I saw it. A transcribed voicemail from Jordan. Not on my phone. On the shared iCloud account Evan never disconnected from. Hey, I know I said I was fine, but I'm not. I don't like being the secret. You said you'd talk to her this week. If you're still not ready, maybe you never will be. I can't be your backup plan, Evan. It was time-stamped 3:14 a.m., 2 minutes after his Lyft ride, 2 minutes after he left her place. I stared at that voicemail for a long time. Then I clicked play. Her voice was raw, soft. She wasn't angry. She sounded heartbroken. And for some reason, that stung worse than the texts. This wasn't some drunk flirtation. It was an affair. With feelings. With intentions. And she thought he was going to leave me. I didn't sleep that night. Evan came to bed late, smelled faintly of bourbon, and snuggled into me like we were still fine. I lay there stiff, listening to the buzz of his phone on the nightstand. It vibrated once at 3:41 a.m. I didn't need to check. I already knew who it was. The next morning, I called out of work, told my boss I had a stomach bug. In a way, it was true. I needed space to think. I made a list. A literal list, with bullet points and dates. Suspicions. Late night texts. Friday, Saturday Lyft rides. Voicemail from Jordan evidence. Instagram story. Match. Voicemail transcript. Evans, she's still awake, text. Unanswered questions. How long has it been going on? Has he slept with her? What has he told her about me? I needed one more piece of the puzzle. Something that closed the gap between suspicion and certainty. So I did something I swore I'd never do. I asked Nia to follow her. Not in a creepy way, just on socials. She had a burner account she used for work gossip, and within minutes she'd requested to follow Jordan on Instagram. Jordan accepted, and 3 days later, she posted a photo that made my heart stop. A blurry, intimate mirror selfie in a hotel, bathroom, her in a robe. Steam fogging the mirror. In the reflection, a man's jacket on the sink. Evan's jacket. The green one with the elbow patches I bought him for Christmas. Caption: he always says the right things. That night, Evan made spaghetti and poured me a glass of wine like nothing was wrong. He joked about his boss being a nightmare and asked if I wanted to plan a weekend getaway. And all I could do was look at his hands, the ones that held me every night, the ones that had clearly been holding someone else. I didn't tell him that night. I let him cook, pour wine, and rub my back while I sat on the couch like a ghost in my own life. There's something disturbingly theatrical about pretending everything's normal while you're bleeding inside. I watched him move around our kitchen, the way he stirred the sauce, glanced at his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. I even watched the way he added a pinch of chili flakes like he always did when he was trying to impress me. I smiled when I needed to, nodded at the right times, told him, "That sounds great," when he mentioned hiking in Big Sur for our next trip. Meanwhile, I was screen recording everything. Every text, every voicemail, every Instagram post. I didn't want a confrontation. I wanted a case file. I wasn't sure yet if I was preparing for a divorce. Or a confession. But something inside me had shifted. I wasn't the woman who begged. I wasn't the woman who needed him to pick me. I just needed the truth. The next morning, I called my therapist. "I think my husband is cheating," I said flatly. There was a pause. She didn't rush to comfort me, which I appreciated more than she'll ever know. "What do you need from me right now?" she asked. I told her I wasn't looking for clarity. I had clarity. I needed help holding the emotional weight of pretending until I was ready to stop pretending. We met twice that week. In one session, I asked, "Why didn't I see it sooner?" She said something I'll never forget. "Because the version of him you loved was real to you. It's not foolish to believe in the person someone pretends to be." It gave me permission to stop blaming myself, but it didn't erase the ache. On Thursday, I finally did what I should have done days ago. I opened Evan's laptop. He always used it in the office for Zoom meetings, and he was careless with passwords. The browser history alone was a confession. Hotel bookings, Uber drop-offs near Jordan's apartment, a shared Spotify playlist titled Just Us. And then, a draft email, saved in his Gmail, addressed to her. Subject: "We need to talk, Jordan. I know I've been dragging this out, and I'm sorry. You deserve more than secrets. I'm scared to lose her. But I'm also scared I've already lost you. Please don't give up on me. Give me this weekend. Let me talk to her first. E." The draft was dated 2 days ago. He hadn't sent it, but he was planning to. That weekend he suggested Big Sur? That wasn't for us. It was his clean exit strategy. And I wasn't even part of the conversation. Friday evening, I made a decision. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to throw things or beg or ask him why. I was going to show him that I knew. I printed the texts, the voicemails, the screenshots from Jordan's Instagram, the Lyft receipt, his draft email. Then I booked a room at a boutique hotel nearby and left it all on the bed, right on top of his green jacket. I left a note on our shared pillow. You always said you hated drama, so I'm giving you silence instead. I'll be gone by the time you read this. Do not contact me until you're ready to tell me the full, unedited truth. I took a suitcase, packed only essentials, and left. I didn't cry in the car, not even once. I didn't feel strong exactly, but I felt clean. The hotel room was small but beautiful. Soft lighting, linen sheets, a balcony overlooking a courtyard fountain. I turned off my phone, not just silent, off. For 48 hours, I didn't check anything. No calls, no DMs, no updates from Nia, who had been texting me in all caps before I unplugged. I slept. I ate overpriced croissants. I stared at the ceiling and imagined what Evan's face looked like when he found the evidence. I imagined him sitting on the bed, reading his own words back to himself, wondering how long I'd known. I imagined Jordan getting the "I can't see you anymore" text, and I imagined the silence that followed, the way it filled every room like fog. Sunday afternoon, I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 5 voicemails, 3 unread texts from Evan. Evan, I deserve this. I know I do. Evan, can we talk? I'll tell you everything. Evan, please just tell me you're safe. 1 from Jordan. Jordan, I didn't know he lied to both of us. I'm so sorry. And a voicemail from his mother. That one caught me off guard. I played it. Her voice was brittle and confused. Hi, sweetie. I'm not sure what's going on, but Evan came over and he's a mess. He said you left? I don't want to pry, but I just hope you're okay. Please call me. He ran to his mom. Of course he did. I sat on the edge of the bed, turning his messages over in my head. I knew I had the upper hand now. I could set the terms. I could burn the whole thing down if I wanted to. But part of me still wanted to hear him say it, out loud. No spin. No, it wasn't what it looked like. So I texted him back. Me. I'll meet you tomorrow. Coffee shop on 9th. 5 p.m. Come alone. He responded in under 10 seconds. Evan, I'll be there. Thank you. I turned my phone back off, not because I was avoiding him, because I needed the silence more than the drama. At 4:50 p.m. the next day, I walked into the cafe. He was already there, sitting by the window. Same gray hoodie, same anxious knee bounce. When he saw me, his face crumpled. I sat across from him, said nothing. He spoke first. I messed up. I nodded. I was weak. I wanted something new. I felt boring, predictable. Jordan made me feel... Spare me the therapy monologue, I said. He shut up. Here's what I want, I continued. No lies. Just answer my questions. Yes or no. Got it? He nodded. Did you sleep with her? Yes. How long? About 6 months. Did you ever plan to leave me? Silence. Then, no, not really. That was the final knife. She wasn't even the end game, just the side story. I stared at him. So you were willing to risk 10 years of marriage for nothing? He looked down. I didn't think you'd find out. I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that made 2 people glance over from the counter. And if I hadn't? I asked. You'd still be sneaking around? He didn't answer. Exactly. I stood up. We're done, Evan. I'll have Nia send you a list of what I'm taking from the apartment. You'll get the papers in a week. His eyes widened. Wait, you're divorcing me? You're surprised? I thought maybe we could fix it. I looked at him like he'd grown a second head. You had every chance to fix it. You chose secrets. Repeatedly. I'm just choosing myself now. I walked out without looking back. That night, I slept in Nia's guest room. She handed me a glass of wine and sat on the edge of the bed, shaking her head. "I've said it before and I'll say it again," she muttered. "Men are just allergic to contentment." I smiled. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I thought the worst part would be leaving. Turns out the real grief comes in waves after. Like when I opened the freezer 2 days later and saw his dumb Trader Joe's chocolate croissants still stacked in the corner. Or when the landlord texted both of us to ask about renewing the lease. And I had to be the one to say, "It's just me now." Or when Spotify asked if I wanted to keep listening together on the family plan. Every little thing reminded me of how completely I'd built my life around someone who was apparently building an escape plan around me. But strangely, there was also relief. There was a weird kind of stillness in being the one to leave. I didn't have to wait for another lie, another excuse, another guilt-laced apology. It was just me now. Me and my choices. The Monday after I moved into Nia's spare bedroom, Evan emailed me a Google Doc titled Closure. I didn't open it. Instead, I sent him a shared doc back. Property split. Draft 1. Items I'm taking. Couch. My parents bought it. Espresso machine. Gift from Nia. Cookware set. Wedding registry, but I cook. My books, my plants, my desk. You can keep the rest. His response came 4 hours later. Just one line. "You can have the record player too. I don't deserve to hear our songs anymore." I didn't respond. That was the last message we exchanged for almost 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Jordan messaged me again. Twice. First time she apologized. Said she'd been lied to. That he made it sound like we were separated, just technically still married. Second time, she asked if we could talk. I almost ignored it. But then curiosity kicked in. Not the petty kind. The kind that craves truth. So I said yes. We met at a tea shop in Oakland, neutral ground. Jordan looked tired. Less polished than I remembered. Her eyes were swollen like she'd been crying. And her nails were chipped red, not that glossy perfect she usually wore. She ordered matcha. I got ginger lemon. We sat across from each other in awkward silence until she finally said, "I didn't know he was capable of that." I blinked. Lying or cheating? Both. I tilted my head. "You really believed he was going to leave me?" She nodded slowly. "He said you hadn't been intimate in months. That you barely spoke. That you were basically roommates." That hit like a punch to the ribs. "He told you we weren't having sex?" I asked. She looked down. "I'm sorry, that was out of line." "No," I said, holding my tea like it was an anchor. "He lied to both of us. You didn't do this alone." Jordan looked up, teary. "He told me he loved me." I nodded. "He told me he loved me too. Right up until the week I left." She inhaled sharply. "So what happens now?" "I move on," I said. "And I hope you do too." We didn't hug, but we understood something unspeakable. We were both victims of the same performance. Nia helped me apartment hunt. We toured 4 places. The 5th one just felt right. Exposed brick, sunlight through big windows, a clawfoot tub that made me feel like a movie character. I signed the lease without blinking. When the landlord handed me the keys, I cried for the first time. Not because I was sad, but because I had something that was mine. Just mine. The next week, Evan's mom called me again. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. "Sweetheart, I know this isn't my place, but he's a wreck. He won't eat. He's not working. I think he realizes what he lost. Just, if there's any room for mercy, please consider it." I deleted it. Not out of spite, but because I didn't want to be pulled back in. I knew what she meant by mercy, but I wasn't interested in performing forgiveness for someone else's comfort. That Friday, I finally opened Evan's closure document. It was 2 pages long, full of poetic regrets. He wrote about our first date, our wedding night, the time I sang Fleetwood Mac off key in the car, and he swore he'd never heard anything better. He wrote about how he never stopped loving me. He just stopped choosing me. That line stayed with me. I never stopped loving you. I just stopped choosing you. That was his truth. But my truth? I started choosing me, and I wasn't going back. I donated his leftover clothes to Goodwill, dropped off his vinyl collection at a secondhand store in Berkeley, kept the record player, but only played new albums on it. Every time I heard the needle scratch, it felt like a clean slate. Weeks passed. Nia and I threw a small divorce brunch with mimosas and glitter cupcakes. She made a banner that said, "Cheers to upgrading." I laughed so hard I cried again. But this time, it was joy. Real, messy, earned joy. Then, one night in March, I got an email from Jordan. No subject line, just this message. He emailed me again, told me he's been reflecting, wants to grab coffee, says he's single now and regrets how we ended. I didn't respond, just thought you should know. I hope you're happy. I stared at the screen for a long time, not because I was surprised, but because I finally saw him clearly. This wasn't a man broken by guilt. This was a man still looking for someone to make him feel like the hero. Even now. Even after all the wreckage. And it was no longer my job to save him. By the time spring settled into the city, cool winds brushing the sidewalks, cherry blossoms dusting the parked cars, I no longer flinched at Evan's name. I'd started waking up before my alarm, making real breakfasts, the kind with toast and avocado and the fancy eggs. I lit candles at night even when I wasn't expecting anyone. I watered my plants on time. That's the funny thing about heartbreak. It doesn't just strip you down, it clears the clutter. And in that emptiness, I found me. My apartment started to feel like home. The first thing I bought was a lamp. Warm yellow light. The kind that makes everything feel like golden hour. Then came the shelves, the art prints, a tiny Bluetooth speaker that filled the room with music while I cleaned on Sundays. I started dancing again, just in my socks, across the hardwood floors, with no one watching. That was freedom, and not the loud Instagram caption kind, the quiet, self-earned kind. I was scrolling through Facebook one night, half out of boredom, half out of curiosity, when I saw it. A photo tagged at a dinner party in Oakland. Someone's birthday. In the background, barely visible, was Evan. Alone. Sitting with a drink in his hand, looking tired. There were no other photos of him from that night. No new relationship status. No sappy quotes. Just Evan. Still in the same city, still in the same orbit. Just drifting now. I showed Naya the post. She shrugged. Of course he's still around. Men like him always are. Then she paused. But you're not. You're somewhere else entirely. And she was right. I wasn't just moved out. I was moved on. A week later, I ran into him. It was stupidly cinematic. Grocery store, Saturday afternoon. I was holding almond milk and a bunch of cilantro. He turned the corner with a basket of frozen pizzas and nearly dropped them when he saw me. Wow, he said, blinking like he was seeing a ghost. I smiled politely. Hey. He looked thinner. His hair was longer than he usually let it grow. How have you been? He asked. Good, I said. Really good. He nodded. You look happy. I am. There was a pause. One of those loaded silences. Then he said it. I'm sorry. I still think about it every day. I gave a soft smile. That's the difference between us. I think about it less and less. He winced, but I didn't mean it as cruelty. Just truth. He looked down. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I was just afraid of being ordinary. I nodded slowly. You could have talked to me. You didn't have to lie. I know, he said. I know that now. There wasn't much else to say. I excused myself and turned toward the checkout line. He didn't follow. That night, I journaled for the first time in months. Wrote a letter I would never send. Dear Evan, You weren't the villain in my story. You were just a man who made weak choices. You confused novelty for happiness. You mistook attention for love. But I'm not angry anymore. Because you taught me something I never knew I needed to learn. That I can survive betrayal with grace. That I can build a life from broken pieces. That I can walk away without needing closure from someone who never offered honesty to begin with. I hope you figure yourself out. But I no longer hope you come back. Me. It felt like closing a chapter, not slamming it shut, just setting it down gently and turning the page. Later that month, Jordan moved away. She posted about it on her Instagram. A new job in Seattle. Fresh start. New city. Same cat. I hearted the post. She sent me a DM. Jordan, thank you again for not blaming me when you could have. Me, thank you for telling me the truth. Jordan, we were both lied to. It wasn't a competition. Me, exactly. Take care of yourself. Jordan, you too. We weren't friends, but we were no longer enemies, and that mattered. One Saturday in May, I met someone. At a friend's game night, of all places. His name was Marcus. He made dad jokes and didn't apologize for liking Hallmark movies. We didn't flirt. We just clicked. The first time he touched my arm, it didn't feel electric. It felt safe. The next morning, he texted, Marcus, I had fun. You made me laugh so hard I snorted. That's rare. Me, I take pride in my snort-inducing powers. Marcus, can I take you to brunch next weekend? Me, you can try, but I judge pancake orders harshly. And just like that, a new story began. I wasn't healed completely. Not yet. But I was open. Not to another fairy tale. To something honest. Something earned. The first time Marcus kissed me, it didn't feel like a firework. It felt like a sunrise. Warm. Slow. Quiet. Like something worth waking up for. It was on our third date. We were walking back from a hole-in-the-wall Vietnamese place that served the kind of pho you dream about for weeks afterward. He held my hand as we passed the mural near the bookstore. One of those giant city walls painted with faces of strangers and protest lines. And said, I like the way you see things. I laughed. What do you mean? He looked at me sideways. You notice stuff. Not just people. Moments. I saw you watching the couple with the baby. How you smiled when the kid dropped their spoon and the dad caught it midair. I didn't realize I'd done that. But Marcus did. He noticed me. Not as a decoration. Not as a placeholder. As a person. For weeks I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Not because Marcus did anything wrong, but because Evan had trained me to anticipate the pivot. The shift. The reveal. With Marcus, there was no twist. He said what he meant. He answered texts without delay. He never called me crazy for asking clarifying questions. Once, when I told him I was still in therapy, and probably would be for a while, he just nodded. Same here, he said. Gotta keep the gears clean. It was such a simple metaphor, but it stuck with me. Keep the gears clean. Don't let old wounds rust new chances. One night, months into dating, Marcus and I were lying on my couch. A movie playing, popcorn half-eaten, his fingers tracing circles on my arm. I turned to him and asked, Have you ever cheated on anyone? He didn't flinch. No, he said. But I've been the other guy once. In college. Didn't know until halfway through. When I found out, I ended it. Still felt dirty afterward. I stared at him. Why'd you end it? He looked at me like it was obvious. Because it's not love if it has to be hidden. And just like that, I exhaled a breath I didn't know I was holding. Eventually, I stopped checking Evan's socials. He posted less and less. When he did, it was usually vague. Sunsets, beers, moody captions. Once, Nia tagged me in a meme about dodging bullets in your 30s. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. She followed it up with a text. NIA. I still can't believe you didn't key his car. Me. I took the espresso machine. That hurt worse. NIA. Icon. I never blocked Evan. But I muted him. Emotionally and digitally. And one day, I realized I'd gone over a week without thinking about him at all. That was freedom. Not revenge. Not some karmic payoff. Just space. Room to breathe. The final time I saw him wasn't planned. I was walking out of a bookstore on 4th, arms full of poetry anthologies and overpriced notebooks, when I saw him on the corner. He looked the same. A little older, maybe. A little more worn. We made eye contact. He smiled. A slow, sad smile. I smiled back. Not out of nostalgia. Out of peace. He didn't cross the street. Neither did I. We kept walking. In opposite directions. And that, to me, was closure. Marcus and I didn't rush into anything. We took our time. By the end of the year, he moved in. Not because we needed to, but because we wanted to. He built a spice rack in our kitchen. I taught him how to fold fitted sheets. We danced in the kitchen on Sundays. Not because it was romantic, because it was ours. One night, I found the old Google Drive folder from the divorce. I almost deleted it. But then I renamed it. What I Survived. Not to dwell. To remember. To remind myself that I rebuilt my life from the rubble of someone else's choices. And that I didn't just survive, I thrived. Here's the twist you didn't see coming. I forgave him. Not in person. Not through a phone call or a grand gesture. Internally. Quietly. Forgiveness wasn't about letting him off the hook. It was about unhooking myself from the past. So I could move forward. With open hands. And an open heart. To this day, I wonder if he ever fully understood what he lost. Not me, exactly. But the us that trusted him. The life we built. The softness he used as a safety net. Thinking it would always be there to catch him. It wasn't. I wasn't. And when he finally looked down, he found air instead of arms. Was she justified in walking away instead of fighting for a marriage he broke behind her back? Let us know in the comments.